Welcome back, YouTubers. Today is a video I've been wanting to shoot now for a couple of weeks. This past weekend I was at a gun show and overheard a lot of dealers describing and explaining things about the AR-15 and other various weapons to people who have no knowledge of the weapon itself, and selling them on things they really don't need, or a lot of hop-ups, or a lot of things that they just add to the weapon to make it look all spoofy and swoopy. In the military, we call those gear-dos. They just put a lot of gear on top of their weapon, which is pretty much useless and not needed. But today we're going to go over the things that are important and what you should be looking for when buying or purchasing your first AR-15. Welcome to Impractical Knowledge.
911 now!
So before buying or purchasing or embarking on anything to do with weapons or anything in life, of course, the first thing you want to do is get information. Try to get as much information on what it is that you're purchasing, what you're trying to build or buy. In this case, this is my AR-15. Like I said before in the intro of the video, I was at a gun show this past weekend, and there were a lot of people just kind of walking around looking at things, and they would walk up to a table and they were very impressed by all the stuff that's added on top of a basic AR-15 platform. Whether it be the hand grips, the scopes, the red dots, you name it, very impressive. The more crap that they had on top of the weapon, the more people were drawn to it. A lot of those things are not very practical. A lot of the things they have on there are garbage. I've seen a lot of people put a lot of airsoft type products on their weapons and sell it, but to people who don't know, they look at it and they think it's a great deal. I've seen knockoff EOTech holographic sights on top of some weapons that were at the show. Pop-up sights. There were just certain things that were on the weapon that were just, in my opinion, garbage, but they were jacking the price up so high, and the allure to the people was that it was something that was great. They see this stuff in the movies and they wanted it, and it was the greatest thing in the world. So the dealers would see that and they would just hammer them. I saw some AR-15s on there that I could easily build for around $600-700. They had a bunch of garbage, added hop-ups to the AR, and they were selling it for anywhere between $1,800 to $2,200 for an AR-15 that was garbage. People just don't know. One of the things, the most important thing when buying an AR-15, there's three important things you want to look for. You want to have a good quality barrel. You definitely want to make sure you take a look inside the barrel at anything. There were some at the show that I took a look down the barrel. I brought my flashlight with me, and I saw there was corrosion and pitting. They may have been used. They might have been just wore out barrels that the vendor was now putting on another lower receiver or upper receiver and putting it together and selling it as a rifle. But most people just don't know. They don't even look at that. I saw some bolts that were completely rusted. I saw one bolt carrier group that didn't have the actual bolt itself or firing pin or anything. Just things to look for. These are just basic type things that most people just don't know. The important things, like I said, barrel, your bolt carrier group, and your trigger. To me, those are the most important things on any rifle, especially on an AR-15 platform. You can always add things later on, so don't feel like you have to buy something that has all this garbage added to it right away. As long as you have a good quality barrel, you have a good bolt carrier group, and a good trigger, you should be good to go. For my rifle, I built mine on an upper and lower Spikes Tactical. They make a good product. My barrel was a Ballistic Advantage barrel, which I had some good experiences with, so I went with the Ballistic Advantage barrel. My bolt carrier group is a nitride coated. It's nothing too fancy. I know they got the nickel boron, which are real cool looking, but this one has served me very well. I took this one out shooting yesterday. Don't really have to lubricate it. Very easy to clean, and it's just something that most people just don't know and just don't look at. One of the things to look for too is when you see some of these rifles. Mine is Sierra coated. I went ahead and made it look the distressed, so it's been painted to kind of look like it's been wore out, like it's a little bit older and a little bit crappier. Something I just was messing around with this past weekend. I said, why not? What you want to do is, of course, if I can get this open, my upper and lower receiver are very tight. That's a good thing. You don't want to, you don't want to sit there and have a rifle that just kind of rattles around. When you shake it, it doesn't make a lot of noise and it's very loose. Mine is very tight, and that just means that the upper and lower receiver are matched together very well. They sell these little plugs you can also get too. I don't know if you can see this. It's a little plug that helps kind of take the sloppiness out. If you have any slop on there, I get them and put them on there, and I find that they keep things nice and tight. So here's my BCG or bolt carrier group. Like I said, it's nitrided, it's black, super easy to clean. Doesn't need a lot of lubrication. You can fire this thing forever, and it's just gonna keep going the way it's supposed to go. Because of the process, it's not like the nitrite or the I'm sorry, not the nitrite, but the nickel boron, which is a coating, almost like a chrome coating that's put on top of the product. This one is actually a treatment which is part of the metal itself. It's not a coating that's over there. So the more you use this, the more it's actually going to become smoother, and it's going to be stronger, and it's just a great product. Now, I didn't get anything fancy. I didn't get anything with a logo on it. As long as it's made of the same material, that's all that really matters. They have some that are they've been specifically made to kind of reduce weight. Some of them are balanced a little bit better, but it all depends on what you're doing. If you're going for a 3-gun competition, of course, go ahead and spend a few extra dollars to try to get something, maybe a name brand, or depending on what you're looking for. Again, you'll get that information from the research that you do. One of the things you want to look for on the bolt carrier itself is make sure that the staking for your gas tube on top of the bolt carrier group here, you want to make sure that it's staked, so that way these Allen keys right here do not come back undone. So that's something you definitely want to look for when you're looking at a BCG. Depending on your bolt itself, some of them are a little bit more beefier. Some of them have tapered edges, so you don't have to worry about them cracking or chipping off. Again, research that you have to do. But definitely want to make sure there's no corrosion on here. If it is plated with some kind of plating, like I said before, if it's got the plating on it, make sure it isn't flaking off. A lot of times you'll see, especially in the area over here, right in this area, right inside here, you'll start seeing where they flake off. Garbage. Cheap product. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but definitely want to check that. A lot of things people will do too is they try to sell you on this hop-up for a charging handle. I use a basic charging handle. I went with a little extension I got on there to get a little bit better grip, so when I'm trying to rack this thing back, if I have gloves on or something, it's going to help me make sure I get a good contact with it. But you don't need to spend $100. I've seen some that are, they're ambidextrous, where, let's say you're shooting offhand, you want to be able to charge it from, your other side. It's a preference, but it's not something you need. And some dealers will actually charge you $200 more just for a $50 hop up, or an option on your rifle itself. One of the other things you definitely want to pay close attention to is where your upper receiver is. Now, on your upper receiver, where your actual barrel meets the upper receiver, you have the M4 feed ramp, which are the little grooves that kind of go up to kind of feed when the round gets chambered into the rifle from the magazine itself. You'll see it has these little guide ramps that are on there. You want to make sure there isn't a lip inside there. They should be highly polished, and they should be straight, and there should be really no gap on there. It should be a nice smooth ramp, so when that tip of the bullet hits that area and it's getting fed inside there, it's going to lead it exactly to where it wants to go, so it doesn't jam up or get stuck inside there. I saw some at the gun show that were they were terrible. You can easily catch a nail on there and just see that it was just put together very sloppily, and people just don't know. They just look and see something that they want, and they just go for it without really knowing what they're looking for. There's all kind of things you can do. But like I said before, if you purchase or if you build your rifle and you start off with a good barrel, you start off with a good bolt carrier group and a good trigger system, which this is a drop-in trigger, which I got this one for like $123. It's a good trigger. I'm not going to discuss what brand it is, but it's a good trigger. 3.5 pounds of pull, really no take up, quick reset, exactly what you're looking for. You can spend $200+ on a Geissele trigger system or a Tsingy trigger system, or there's all kinds of trigger systems that are out there. It's preference. Some people will sit there and say they want the name brand. This is a name brand that I have inside here, but it's not a well-known name brand. The quality is excellent, and doing some research I found out that they actually produce another manufacturer's triggers that are built in the same house. But I saved myself about $100 by purchasing this one. Took it out to the range yesterday, fired excellent. That's why my weapon is so dirty right now. But just know what you're looking for. Go with a good name brand, lower receiver and upper receiver if you can. Spike Tactical makes a good one. You got Seekins makes a good one. There are other ones on there, but it's not that big of a deal. You do want to make sure your upper is a good upper, just because you want to make sure that when you have everything squared up inside and you put your barrel and mat it and mount it to your upper, it's going to be true, and there's not going to be a lot of slop or a lot of take up inside there where it's going to kind of move around inside there. Other than that, don't get fooled by the stuff that's added to it. Like I said, you can easily go to Palmetto State Armory website, and they sell uppers fairly cheap, $300 or lower for like $150, or for like $500 you can get a somewhat decent type rifle. You can add your own stuff to it later on. You don't have to get that that crappy scope that's not going to hold zero, that that aim holographic sight that's not worth crap. Pop-up sights that are made for airsoft guns that fall off, the springs fall off, just the garbage that they add on there. In my opinion, it's always better to kind of build your own rifle. As you get more experience, you'll be able to put them together yourself, and you'll see the excitement and the joy of just being able to put one together yourself. You do need a couple tools to be able to put one completely together, but they're not very expensive. And once you put one together, I'm sure you're going to get addicted like I have, and you'll have like 3 or 4 of these things like I do. Take your time, do your research, and don't just buy something just because you want it. Save the extra dollars, save your money, and make sure you purchase something that's going to be quality. Good barrel, good bolt carrier group, good trigger. And with that, you'll have yourself a good rifle. Add the stuff later on. Don't be fooled by the stuff that they sell you at these gun shows. They're going to sell you garbage. That's all I got for this episode of Impractical Knowledge. If you have any questions or comments, leave me a comment in the description below. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And again, enjoy this Impractical Knowledge.